What is up, guys? Baby's father here, and let me welcome you to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Clenbuterol versus Yohimbine. I'm going to talk about mechanisms, use cases, their possible synergy if tolerated, and peak-week strategies. So, two classics. One sets an all-day burn. The other is a scalpel for stubborn fat. And today, how they work, when to pick which, how to stack them smart, and why you should pull them out before a peak week, which is very important, so stay to the end. First of all, a mechanism of action. Clenbuterol is a beta-2 adrenergic receptor agonist. And to simplify the mechanism of action, beta-2 activates GS, or stimulatory G protein, which activates adenylyl cyclase, which raises CAMP, cyclic adenosine monophosphate, which activates pKa, or protein kinase A. Then pKa, or protein kinase A, activates HSL, or hormone-sensitive lipase, and ATGL, or adipose triglyceride lipase, which drives the thing you really want, delipolysis. And it also increases thermogenesis and produces bronchodilation, which is the main thing it was invented for, the bronchodilation, because it was used, and in some countries and still being used, to treat asthma. In skeletal muscle, it decreases ubiquitin proteasome proteolysis, which results in anti-catabolic signaling, to put it simply. Half-life is approximately 30 to 36 hours, which provides a long and steady effect. Yohimbine HCl is, on the other hand, a 2-adrenergic, but not agonist, but antagonist, and blocking presynaptic alpha-2 autoreceptors removes the inhibition of norepinephrine release, which allows more norepinephrine to stimulate beta receptors, which promotes the thing you want out of it, the lipolysis. And this works best when insulin is low. Blocking alpha-2 on adipocytes removes the anti-lipolytic brake, which also results in higher lipolysis. Half-life, on the other hand, is approximately 0.6 to 1.5 hours, which makes it highly timeable. Now, evening benefits and downsides. Let me start with Clenbuterol and its benefits. So first of all, long half-life provides all-day thermogenesis, supports muscles in deficits through anti-catabolic pathways, improves perceived breathing through bronchodilation. So for example, if you have long cardio sessions or hard leg workouts, you are going to appreciate the bronchodilation effect as well. And dosing becomes predictable once it's stable, or once the concentration in your blood plasma is stable. Now, the downsides of Clenbuterol can cause tremor, which is very common, especially when you are getting used to the dose of Clenbuterol. And one misconception: people think that when the tremor goes away, you need to increase the dose of Clenbuterol. This is just a pure nonsense. The tremor goes away because your body adapts to the side effect of the drug. But the effects on beta-2 adrenergic receptors are intact. So Clenbuterol still works. You don't have to increase the dose. Trust me. It also can cause cramps through lowering potassium and magnesium, but also there is a higher taurine depletion. So usually when you increase the dose of taurine while running Clenbuterol, you can manage those cramps quite effectively. At and it can worsen insomnia because of its long half-life. Hence, because of its long half-life, it will always interrupt your sleep quality, at least a little bit. So you just have to take that into account as well. And like I said before with the tremor, beta-2 receptors can downregulate over time. So you either increase the dose, which is something I do not prefer to do. I usually do not go above 40 micrograms of Clen with any of my competitive clients. But you can take something called ketotifen, which is an antihistamine, which will resensitize the beta-2 receptors. So, for example, to take your clenbuterol in the morning, it's always better to take it before fasted cardio and as early as possible, so it interrupts your sleep less. And before you go to bed, you take the antihistamine ketotifen, which will upregulate your beta-2 receptors, and your Clen will work just fine without the need of increasing the dose. Now, Yohimbine and the benefits. First of all, it targets stubborn fat during fasted cardio better than clenbuterol. Allows exact timing around sessions. It stays in your body for a very short period of time. Stacks well with caffeine. It is inexpensive and it does not cause beta-2 receptor downregulation. And now the downsides. It penetrates the CNS better than the clenbuterol and crosses blood-brain barrier very effectively, which increases anxiety, irritability, nausea, and also blood pressure spikes in susceptible users. So we need to monitor that as well. But that is something you have to monitor with any stimulant. But responses on this varies widely. For example, with CYP2D6 polymorphisms, people, they experience the blood pressure increases a lot more than with people that do not have that particular polymorphism. But, as I always say, Yohimbine is harder to tolerate than clenbuterol. So if it makes your life miserable, just don't take it. As easy as that. But if you can tolerate it, it is something that can be stacked with clenbuterol instead of just increasing the dose of clenbuterol, and it will yield the same, if not bigger, benefits than just increasing the clenbuterol without having additional side effects from clenbuterol. Now a little bit more about tolerance and CNS. Well, why Yohimbine is less well tolerated than clenbuterol? Well, like I said, it crosses the blood-brain barrier very efficiently and often produces something called wired but tired effect and even panic-like reactions in some users. And clenbuterol is more stimulating but acts more peripherally, so not in your brain. And its long half-life reduces the sharp surges, but you still need to monitor your blood pressure. Now let me talk about some scenarios when to pick which. So, deep prep, baseline burn. You want to start with clenbuterol to set a 24-hour dynamic floor and support muscle while being in caloric deficit. Fasted AM, low intensity steady state or moderate intensity continuous training or cardio. For stubborn fat, choose Yohimbine at usually 0.2 milligrams per kilogram fasted, taken 30 to 45 minutes before cardio session. And in maintenance or minicut with variable days, Yohimbine wins due to its on-off control. It's in and out very fast. And if you have asthma or airways limitations, clenbuterol's bronchodilation can help perceived exertion. Now, why combining lower doses is better than maxing one? First of all, they act on different adrenergic nodes, so you have two different vectors. Clenbuterol stimulates beta-2 and drives lipolysis. Yohimbine blocks alpha-2 receptors and removes the anti-lipolytic brake, which results in more lipolysis. So two different vectors by which you are increasing the lipolysis. And because of that, using both of them at modest doses produces more lipolysis with fewer side effects and reduces receptor downregulation, because the higher you take your clenbuterol dose, the higher your downregulation rate of the receptor is going to be. So using both of them in lower doses equals in lower downregulation compared with pushing only one of those agents, particularly clenbuterol, too high. Now, dosing protocols, which you have been waiting for sure. Solo versus in combination. So first of all, clenbuterol solo. I would advise you to begin with 10 to 20 micrograms in the morning and then increase by 10 to 20 micrograms every 2 to 3 days until you'll reach 40 micrograms. That is the sweet spot. And if you really want to push it, for example, you are running out of time in your prep, go for 80 micrograms, but not higher, because the side effects are going to increase. Avoid late dosing, taking in the morning before fasted cardio. That's the best to avoid ruining your sleep quality. And cycle either 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, or run continuously low to moderate dosing while adding ketotifen 1 to 2 milligrams at bedtime to improve beta-2 receptor sensitivity and also support magnesium and potassium, increase your taurine intake, and hydrate well. Now, Yohimbine solo. Use 0.2 milligrams per kilogram in fasted state, 30 to 45 minutes before cardio session. It works best when insulin is low, so avoid carbs near the dose. And you can split it into 2 or 3 pulses per day on heavy cardio days if you tolerate it. And some combination pork synergy examples. So, set clenbuterol at 20 to 40 micrograms in the morning as a baseline. Add Yohimbine at 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams per kilogram, fasted before cardio sessions only. Optionally, you can include caffeine, 100 to 200 milligrams before cardio, and monitor blood pressure, anxiety, sleep, and increase magnesium, potassium, and taurine intake. Now, peak week strategy and why you want to remove both of them early. So, the goal during a peak week is to maximize glycogen retention and fullness and to avoid burning the carbohydrate load. Clenbuterol raises BMR or basal metabolic rate and increases glycogen turnover, which risks burning off the carb process. With a half-life of about 30 to 36 hours, stop clenbuterol 5 to 7 days before the show. So the blood levels fall to negligible levels during the loading process. Yohimbine, since it has a short half-life, simply omit it during loading and show week. Now, decision tree plus recap. So, first of all, if you need 24-hour thermogenesis and muscle sparing in deep prep, choose a clenbuterol baseline. If you need targeted stubborn fat mobilization during fasting sessions, choose a Yohimbine pulse. If you want more effect with fewer side effects, combine both at lower doses rather than pushing one high. During peak week, remove clenbuterol 5 to 7 days before loading and skip Yohimbine on load days. Okay guys, so I hope this brief video answered a lot of your questions about which one to use at what time, or if synergy is better than just pushing one high, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I offer consultations, so if you want to contact me in the DMs, and I also offer coaching if you would like me to coach you or guide you through your process. And again, if you like the video, please like the video and leave a comment for the algorithm, and see you guys in the next one. PD's father, signing out.